just neutralized the car. He made it as easy to drive quick as he could. He set it up to be very well set up, very neutral, so that anybody could get in it and drive consistent, comfortable, quality lap times. I was very much in the zone. This is why I love endurance racing.
So what are you about to go out on track to do?
Well, we're about ready to go out in the Advanced Auto Fabrication BMW E30 running the Class E2. Right now NASA has a 30-minute practice session that'll blend into a 30-minute qualifying session. And we practiced quite a bit earlier today, so we're not out in the practice session right now. We'll go out with about 5 minutes left in the practice and then try to find a good qualifying lap. It'll be tough with about 60, 62 to 65 cars out there. The car's done under 206 today. We're going to hopefully race at 208 pace. A 208 would be great, but if we can qualify between 210 and 212, I think that's good considering the traffic.
Why did they choose you to qualify?
I don't know.
All right.
But it's fun. I like driving around here at night, so.
Can you give me a breakdown on how qualifying went?
Our headlights were a little misaimed for that, and so we got out there, did our best with what we had for that, kept everything safe. Qualified slower than we wanted to. The car's in one piece, and weather's nice today. We should have a good run. Lights are now aimed where they're supposed to be, and we'll run through the daytime here into the evening. I'll start. Richard Cabe will follow me, and we'll see how the first few hours go here.
Thank you. So have you done this before?
No, first time. I'm excited about it.
Which order are you in the driver?
I'm the second driver in, so I'll go in at 1:30 today.
At 1:30?
The idea is to just settle into a rhythm, take some laps to just settle down, get used to traffic. I saw the track for the first time yesterday, the car for the first time yesterday.
What have you done to prepare mentally, physically for your stint for the day?
I do a lot of running and cycling normally, and I dialed that back and started doing more weight training, and hopefully that sees me through my 2.5-hour stint. We'll see. I'll let you know later if it's successful.
All right. flag and kind of what took place at the beginning of the race?
Yeah, so the start was good. Rick right now is setting some of the fastest laps we've seen in the car. He's up into 26th place, second place in E2, so that's fantastic. The yellow flag was for a sports racer that blew an engine going into turn 10, and it then came to a halt on the side of the track. Either the grass caught fire or whatever it was, created some smoke, and then there was big flames. We think the actual car burned, but that was about a 5-10 lap yellow flag. Then a disabled car up in turn 3 slowed it down a bit more, but they're up and running now, and he's taking cars down one by one. So yeah, we've got one car right now in front of us, and that's the Robert Davis Racing RX-8, which is the one that we thought was going to be our biggest competition.
So what position in class is he?
Second in class.
Second in class?
Yep.
All right, what position in class did he start?
I think in class we started last in class, or second to last.
Second, wow.
So he's made up a lot of spots. He's taken down, I would probably say, on the start and first lap, probably 5 to 10 cars, and now he's whittled off another 10. So I think we started in the 40s and now we're in the mid-20s.
All right, and what are the expectations for his stint? Do you think he can be in first?
No, well, it depends. It depends on how many times he stops. So the truth is going to come when we start watching how many times the RX-8 has to stop versus our car. We think they'll have to stop more frequently because it's a very high revving engine, so we think it'll use a lot more gas than we will. So ask again in 2.5 hours, we'll see where we are.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm one of the members of Retro Racing. There's a group of us that run Retro Racing, and it's a bunch of guys getting together and consolidating all their time and effort into mainly endurance racing now. We do a lot of sprint racing, but passionate about Mazdas and RX-2s, 3s, and RX-7s. We're from the Vancouver, BC, based out of there, and race pretty much in the Pacific Northwest. Well, we started in 33rd position and all that, so that's not too bad. And then we ended up getting a decent start, making up 5 cars. But a yellow flag came out, and one of the rear rotors there ended up losing power. The temperature dropped on the EGT down to 0, so we brought the car in the back. And within about 7-8 minutes there, we had it back onto the track. It was a bad plug wire that was rubbing up against a piece of metal. So, all right, live and learn on that one.
But it's running okay now.
It's running awesome right now. Right now, Ryan's out on the track, who's our starting driver, and doing some good lap times out here.
How did the first stint go, and what happened out on track?
Well, the first stint was actually going well. We were hitting our times, everything was good. We had one plug wire go bad on us early on, but we were coming back. And then about at the 2-hour mark, we got radioed in that the left rear tire had gone flat, and he'd had to limp it in. So we ended up doing an early driver change at about at the 2-hour mark instead of the 2.5 like we were going to.
How quick was the fix for the plug wire?
The plug wire fix only took about maybe 3 or 4 minutes. It wasn't a big deal. You know, stuff happens in racing, so.
Now, have you had more than one tire fail, or just the one?
No, actually we've had 2 on the same left rear. We had one yesterday in practice, and then we had another one fail today, a brand new tire.
With it being the same corner of the car, is that, did that have anything to do with setup, or is it just chance that it was that same corner of the car?
Yeah, no, we thought that it might have to do with setup, and we checked for rubbing, but there were no rub marks on the car, nothing like that. So we went down and talked to the tire guys, and they said that there's a defect in a certain tire, certain casting, and we were just unlucky enough to get that casting. So.
My name's Hank Moore. I am team owner, crew, car chief, and driver. So I got a couple roles to fill.
I'm busy today. So we just saw the car in the pits and full course caution for a lap or so. What was going on?
Unfortunately, we were the cause of the full course caution. They towed us out of turn 3, brought us back to the pits. Unfortunately, because it was full course, we couldn't do repairs on the hot pit wall. We had to do repairs in the paddock, so we couldn't take advantage of the fuel possibility at that time. What happened is this little bugger came unscrewed, dropped off. This is the end of the throttle cable. So all of a sudden it went from working good to nothing. So throttle was sitting on the ground and no go, and put a new piece on and away we go. No worries.
We weren't here for very long, so how long did the repair take?
I think we lost 2 laps total. So I think we were only, repair-wise, I think we were only a couple of minutes. It wasn't long.
What do we do? What do you do strategically to make up for the loss, or does that change the plan?
There's not much you can do other than roll with the punches at this point. We just gotta keep running our game and stay on our tactics and make the race what we can. It's always a constantly changing strategy. It's not like we can have a plan and stick to it. Never works for an endurance race. So.
No, this is my first stint. This will be my first stint.
Okay, leading up to this, how do you think the car is going to be performing for your stint?
It looks to me like it's performing just fine. Hank's out there right now, clicking off anything from 207 to 209, 210. So I expect the car is going to be in the groove. You know, our target time is 208, and I don't think there'll be any problem just clicking around that range.
Hank, you just got out of the car. How was your stint? Was it pretty straightforward, or did you have to work through any incidents?
Well, we went out completely full of fuel, and that was a bit challenging. The car is a handful, and it's full. It's a lot of pendulum effect because the cell's so far back. But once we got settled in and got some fuel load off, drove out good. No major incidences. Just drove the car, wear out some tires, come in, do it again. So.
Now, they said over the radio that it was having some symptoms of being low on fuel, but then they came back and said, no, we know there's fuel in it. Is there any thoughts that there might be something else going on?
No, it's definitely just purely a fuel load issue. It's just not picking up in the high G right-hander at the end, right before the front stretch. It just doesn't pick up well when it's down on fuel a bit. So you end up with a half a second and then it climbs of fuel bog. So it just lays down for a second and then comes back. It's not undrivable, it's just annoying. So.
And this is your car, right?
Yes it is.
So do you think that changes the way you race it in the Enduro compared to the other drivers?
Absolutely, 110%, yes. I don't necessarily think faster. Part of my challenge is that I'm constantly thinking about the car, what it's doing, why it's doing it, how to improve it. I spent quite a while thinking about brake adjustment and making brake adjustments to the car while I was running, so plenty of things that I probably shouldn't be doing. I should just be driving the car and not thinking about those things, but it's a car chief mentality still in the driver's seat.
Did your mind wander, and what was the weirdest thing you thought about while you were on track?
This time anyway, it didn't wander off of immediate car and what was going on. Certainly was thinking about different ways to baffle fuel tanks to cure fuel starvation and things like that, but nothing too crazy anyway.
Just some problem solving. So what about driving at night? Do you have experience in this, or was that new to you?
Oh no, I've done lots and lots and lots of night driving, so that's not a big deal. The biggest difference here is that there are a lot of fast cars. We're in the bottom percentage of lap times, so we get past a lot. And there are these 4 and 5 car strings that'll come by you and just absolutely blind you, and they're diving in on you, and you're not exactly sure are they there or not, and it's just a matter of just backing up a little bit, letting them go, get back in the rhythm and go again. So
every driver that's been in your car has said how remarkably well it's set up. How does that feel?
That feels great. I mean, that's what, as a car owner builder, that's what you want to hear. We didn't spare anything building the car. It's built as best as I could build a car from the very bottom all the way up. That's a car that's been down to absolute bare sheet metal and built from the bottom up. So I'm glad that it worked.
Pan off our primary motor, and it was completely clean. So we're going to swap out the oil regulator and put it in.
Well, what was the reason for the other motor coming out then? If it looked good, was there something else?
The oil filter and the oil cooler were filled with shavings. So in hindsight, we probably should have done this last night. But when you got guys out here doing motor swaps at 1 a.m, path of least resistance, and here we are.
I'm a little stunned and speechless that a motor swap is a path of least resistance.
In comparison to pulling that one out, rebuilding it basically and putting it back in, putting the motor that's done in is easier, obviously, but it's just really expensive bits in this motor, so our concern was if we did put it in and grenaded, it would destroy it permanently.
What do you think, Terry? Another hour?
Another 2, you think? Nah, I don't think so. Hour and a half. Worst case scenario, 2.5. Some of the pickups on this engine are different, so there's a lot of little stuff that has to be switched over. Our strategy's changed quite a bit now.
Well, when something like this happens, how does it affect your overall view of the weekend?
We came here to run this race and finish it first. Retro's mission statement's always been to go to the track, be competitive, have fun, and leave the track as friends. So we don't get upset. I mean, it's part of racing. Stuff breaks. At the end of the day, we just all want to be friends and have a good time. Have great stories to talk about afterwards. To come down here and finish in the top 20 would have been spectacular for a 40-year-old car. But, the reality of it is it's a long shot.
But it's always fun.
Oh, it's always fun. And this was a bit of a learning experience for us this year. As you know, we have the big car, the IMSA GT RX-7. That's the one that we're really working hard to get ready, and our hope is to bring it down next year and go for the ES first in class, right?
Last night you guys changed back to your previous engine?
Well, it's interesting. We used a little bit of two engines actually. We had some issues with water, water leaking into the engine. It overheated. We came into the pits, changed the engine, took some parts from one engine, took some parts from the other engine, which we had run prior to qualifying, and we basically switched it out. So we got it into the car, got the driver in, got going, and from there it got even more interesting. We had more interesting things happen, more drama. I got about 2 hours into my shift, and one of the things that happened was I thought that I was having trouble getting into fifth gear because my arm was tired. And I was trying to reach fifth at the end. We only hit fifth once in that car at the end of the front straight. I thought, I can make it around in fourth and just be on the rev limiter. What happened was actually the transmission was failing, and I got around the corner at one turn, and I basically lost third and fourth gears. So I was able to get back around in second gear here, pull into the pits, and again, the amazing retro crew, they got to it, got the spare transmission out, and went to work.
How long did it take to change the transmission and the differential for that matter?
We lost about an hour to an hour 15, hour 30 on any of these fixes. The motor was like 3 hours, but certainly we're down. I think somewhere this morning we're around 14th or 15th in class. We're probably the back of the class at this point. I think really for us as a team, this event is about endurance of everybody, the drivers, the car, the crew. I mean, the crew has been amazing at the retro racing team, and I can't say enough about them. They have endured more than the drivers. I mean, they have been at it all night, and they've been basically rebuilding an entire car.
Does it make you a better person?
Totally makes you a better person. Completely. All the more reason to try and make a better than average living so that I could do that. Because I knew that, if I just allowed myself to be satisfied with an average pursuit, I would have a good life and everything, but I wouldn't get to race cars.
How long is left in the race?
Hour and 40.
Who are you battling with in class?
I think we're battling with red Mazda Miata. I don't know what's that.
Sector Purple
Sector Purple Racing. Yeah, red Miata.
So, how close do you think it's going to be in the end?
Hopefully it won't be close. Hopefully we'll be in front. You never know. It's 25 hours, man. Anything can happen. So I think right now we're a lap or two behind after that last pit stop. So we got James Colburn in the car, and he rips, so we should be able to make up some good time.
Now, I heard there might have been some shenanigans about a refueling under a full course caution.
It's certainly apparent that the Miata guys came in and did their normal pit stop under full course caution, which is absolutely prohibited to fuel under full course caution. So that everything we can see externally, and Rick's pretty sure he saw fuel. So they can't go that far on fuel, so they must have done something that wasn't right. So kind of sucks, but there's nothing to do about it. The officials weren't let known what we saw, and they didn't choose to do anything about it. So there's nothing else for us to do.
But you guys have gone pretty much the whole night, the whole event, without having to do any major repairs. What was it, a throttle cable?
Yeah, we had to replace the end of the throttle cable once. That came unscrewed, fell off basically. So yeah, that's not too bad for a 25-hour endurance race. Knock on wood, because we still got an hour. But yeah, overall not bad. We put a set of brake pads on it. We've got a transmission with an output shaft bearing that's bad, and we can hear it screaming every time the car goes by. But it'll last, no problem there, and nothing more to do about it. We put a tranny in, we're out. So we'll just run it till it's done.
What's that?
Are you finishing from pit lane?
We'll go out with 5 minutes left, just do a couple laps and take the finish. We just, not worth risking the engine.
Car number 74, 625 laps, BMW 325i AAS Racing.
There is a place where the sidewalk ends, and before the street begins, and there the grass grows soft and white, and there the sun burns crimson bright, and there the moonbird rests from his flight, to cool in the peppermint wind. Let us leave this place where the smoke blows black and the dark street winds and bends, past the pits where the asphalt flowers grow. We shall walk the walk that is measured and slow, and watch where the chalk white arrows go, to the place where the sidewalk ends. Yes, we'll walk with the walk that is measured and slow, and we'll go where the chalk white arrows go. For the children they mark, and the children they know, the place where the sidewalk ends.
Rip the bumper off the car.
Rip the bumper off the car.
Yes.